Thank you, and how do you do, sports fans? Well, tonight we're indeed privileged and honored to have the greatest hitter in baseball in our midst, a fellow who appeared here at the baseball dinner held on Wednesday night and received one of the most tremendous ovations it's ever been our pleasure here in Manchester to give. A man who, in 24 years of baseball, established an incredible batting average of 367. Fellow who went to bat for the amazing number of times of 11,429, collected over that number of trips to the plate, 4,191 hits. And I would like, and it's rather with pleasure at this time, that I introduce to our radio audience none other than the fabulous Ty Cobb. Mr. Cobb, welcome to WGIR.
Thank you, and I feel much honored to be here.
Well, Ty, I want to say at this time that it certainly was a tremendous pleasure for us to have had you in our midst for our 10th annual baseball dinner. And I know you went through so much to get here, and I know words cannot describe how much we appreciate the fact that you did all of this traveling and went through all these various hazards to get here.
Well, Leo, let me say this right here, that for many, many years I've been to quite a few of events such as you have here. And I want to say right now, this was the most tremendous thing that I've ever witnessed. And you have certainly done a wonderful job in promoting this. And really, Manchester and your paper and you have done a great job. And you hold your own with any other city, I think, in this country, because I haven't seen anything any better with the finest spirit and with things carried out as the way it was carried out last night.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Mr. Cobb. It certainly is a tremendous compliment, especially coming from a man of your caliber who's been around the baseball scene for nearly a half a century, or you certainly have been around for a half a century, because after all, you have reached the tender age of 71, is that right?
That's right. That's some years, too, believe me.
Well, after 24 years of active playing and establishing all the records that you did, and now you're as busy appearing along the chicken circuit, certainly is a great tribute to your vitality and enthusiasm yourself, Mr. Cobb, in this great game of baseball. Mr. Cobb, over the period of years, what would you say is the most tremendous thrill you ever derived from the game? Because in 24 years, you're bound to have numerous.
Well, yes, naturally, the things that impress you are in your younger days. Later on, things may happen that might seem important or more important, possibly, that it doesn't make the impress as much as something that happened in your earlier days. And I've always said and thought that the 17-inning ball game in Philadelphia against the Athletics in 1907, close to the end of the season, while the game went to 17 innings in a tie, I think that that game cinched the pennant for us because we used up about 4 of their best pitchers, and we only had about 6 games to go, and we only used 1 man, and we went on to win the next 5 games, and Philadelphia lost 1 game to Cleveland, which was not a very good ball club at the time, and that put us ahead, and we cinched the pennant in St. Louis in the first game that we played there. Now, my part in that, I happened to hit a home run in the 9th inning when we were 2 runs behind with a man on base. And Waddell was pitching, and I don't know how I hit the ball. I just took a swipe at it. There was 2 strikes on me, and I happened to hit the ball right. It went over the fence, and we tied them up, and then we battled out. Well, we scored a run in the 11th inning, but they tied us up in the 11th. We went to 17 innings, and then it was dark, and they had to call the game. And so the 17-inning game, and what little part I had in it, and ending in a tie, strange to say, was the influencing factor in winning the pennant for us.
Is that so? Well, that certainly must have been quite a battle. Mr. Cobb, you started your career in Major League Baseball at what age?
I was 18.
And what sort of a contract, pardon me, did you have at that time with the ball?
Oh, I think they gave me at the rate of $300 a month, $1,800. At that rate, I went up in August, and I got the $300 at the rate of $300 a month, and then the next year they raised me $300 to $21 at the rate of $2,100 for the season.
Is that so?
Yeah, a lot of money for me then.
Mr. Cobb, you played in more or less a certain period of the money era, so to speak. You collected your highest salary not at a time when you were at your peak, did you?
No. My highest salary. Well, I received $50,000 a year when I was made manager of Detroit, and I managed for 6 years, and that was my salary. And then I went to Philadelphia, and Mr. Mack gave me $70,000 for the season with a 10% of the exhibition games, and I was to get $15,000 bonus if we won the pennant, which we did not do. We finished second.
Oh, yes.
Most years.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Cobb, you played until you were how old?
I was 42.
And you had the good fortune of hitting over 300 at that time, didn't you?
Yes, I had always wanted to finish above 300, and I was anticipating the end, and so that last year they were getting awful close to me, so I thought I'd better step out, and I was 42 years of age, and I was very, very tired of the eternal competition, and so I decided it's time to hang 'em up.
And you still batted 323 in that last year?
I think that is it, yes.
And at 41, you batted 357.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's right.
Those are remarkable figures. And during your career, you won 12 American League batting championships, right?
That's right. I was pretty lucky, Leo.
You weren't only
There's a lot of luck mixed up in that.
Well, you never won close batting championships, Mr. Cobb. They were always by good, unquestionable, unchallenged margins. And 9 of those batting championships were won in a row. Is that right?
That's right. From 1907 to 15 inclusive. 1907 to 1915. Speaker beat me out in 1916.
That was quite a monopoly period for you there.
Well, the luck was still holding out, see.
I'm sorry to say it wasn't all luck, Mr. Cobb, because you've proven it over your fabulous 24 years in the majors. Incidentally, you were not only an outstanding hitter and the greatest hitter the game has ever known, however, your base stealing ability in that you stole 880 and 892, I believe. Is that right? 892
I couldn't really tell you, Leo.
And the fact that you had 96 stolen bases in one year and 85 in another, to what... not only speed did you possess at that time, but to what did you attribute your uncanny ability to steal bases in such fashion?
Well, of course, you have to equip yourself by practice in the style of stealing. I'm supposed to have developed the fall-away slide. That takes practice. You slide to the opposite side of where the baseman is receiving the ball, and you keep the initiative to the last possible second before you make your play down there, and tag the bag with your toe.
Oh, yeah.
Then you've got to study your pitchers to get leads on. You've got to study your catchers and their system, and when they'll waste a ball on you. And there's a lot of study to it, and there's a lot of hard work and practice.
Yes, well, I don't doubt that.
And it takes
you have to be a student of the game, there's no doubt.
Well, you have to try to be. I won't claim I was.
Mr. Cobb, of the ball players playing today and the hitters that are around, who would you say you would rate among the greatest? Of the
fellows playing today?
That's right.
The only way I can answer that, I wouldn't single out one man. It's impossible to do. I will say Williams, Mantle, and Musial. I got to put them all together, and then I wouldn't try to...
They're not necessarily in that order.
No, that's true. That is quite true.
Well, those 3 men, I think, Mr. Cobb, that the baseball-dom itself would agree that you have a tremendous outfielder that really can hit. No doubt about that.
Yes, it's rather provocative to pick one man. There's Mutual, a wonderful boy, a wonderful hitter. He'll play any position for you, and he's a fine team man. And you've got Mantle, who can hit that ball, and he's fast and all. Then, of course, Williams with the most wonderful swing of any ball player I've ever seen. Williams, and a great hitter, and a fine boy.
Yes, you can
I like him very much.
Well, I'm certainly glad to hear those kind words about him, because I consider him one of the best friends I've ever had in baseball, too, Mr. Cobb, I think, as I've told you before. Well, Mr. Cobb, if you were to give to any advice to any youngster today who aspires to become a major leaguer, what kind words would you have to give him?
Well, first he must have the ambition, and if he has ambition, he'll have determination. Then get the proper fundamentals of the play, whether it's a catcher, pitcher, infielder, or an outfielder. Learn the proper fundamentals, and then practice. Practice. What he's going to have to do when he gets into the competition. And with the proper fundamentals, the more he practices, the more he can improve. But without the proper fundamentals, he can only advance beyond a certain a certain limit.
Well, Mr. Cobb, I see that our time is up, and I know that words cannot describe the pleasure, the honor, and the privilege that I feel of having had you at our baseball dinner as an honored guest, and the tremendous ovation that you got, and the efforts through which you went to get here. And I do want to thank you tremendously at this time, and I certainly hope that you'll have good health, continued good health, and your spirit and enthusiasm will never die.
Thank you so much, Leo. It's wonderful to have come up here, because in coming to Boston for the many years, there's so many of the good fans of New England. I've met a lot of them. They've been down there, and before the game and during the game and afterwards, I've met a lot of people they introduced themselves. And of course, I've had a warm spot in my heart for Boston and the type of people that you have up here in New England. And here, I've never been able to come up here much. I think I was up in the state one time before, and I've always hoped that I could come back here during the fall or the summer and in a car and just go around and see this part of the country that I haven't seen more of. And to me, this trip, I feel honored to have the privilege of coming.
Well,
and I hope those that are listening, I wish to send them my very kindest regards, and hope that someday we can meet each other again up here.
Well, I certainly want to thank you very much for those very kind words, Mr. Cobb, and I know that everyone who had the opportunity to see you and hear you on Wednesday night at the Union Leader Fund Incorporated Baseball Dinner, and those who did not have a chance to see you, however, and heard you today, or tonight rather, and read about you in the papers, feel the very same way. And again, I want to thank you very much for your appearance here. Well, sports fans, this has been an interview with the fabulous Ty Cobb, the greatest hitter baseball has ever known. And this brings us to the end of Spotlight on Sports for tonight. And until tomorrow night at the same time, this is Leo Cloutier bidding you good night and good sports.